Hello everyone, how you going? And welcome to the do's and don'ts of Australia. Now obviously we've checked out different things and we've certainly checked out Tristan before, and so we want to see what he's got to say about what you shouldn't be doing when you come here.
What's good, y'all? Tristan here, and today we're going to be going over the 10 don'ts of Australia. Is speed. They have speeding cameras everywhere here, and they are quite sneaky in how they place them. Sometimes they will place them on the side of the road where you can see them, but oftentimes they will hide them in parked cars and like parking lots on the side of the road. So yeah, super easy to get caught by, depending on where.
I want to take that back immediately. I've never seen anything like that, and honestly, they look a little bit foreign. I don't think I've ever seen a bin like that, and I've absolutely never seen a yellow speed camera. So looking at the speed camera on the left and the yellow, I mean, I guess they could be mounted on a big overhead pole, but I don't think I've ever really seen them like that. I mean, maybe in a tunnel that'd be the only time, but yeah, usually they're just on the side of the road on a pole. They're just like a cream box. They certainly aren't in a bin, because I've never seen that. I mean, in more recent times, they have certainly got a little bit sneakier, but I don't think they've just got to the level of bins yet. My goodness.
And parked cars and like parking lots on the side of the road. So yeah, super easy to get caught by. Depending on where you are, you can also get a ticket for going only 3 kilometers over the speed limit, which is about 2 miles per hour. This is not everywhere in Australia. Other parts of Australia have like a 10% rule, but that's still much lower than in America, where you're probably not going to be getting a ticket till you're going like, I don't know, close to 10 miles over.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess that's just different governing bodies and just different police forces just doing different things. I mean, I don't actually know if there is a specified limit, because obviously, well, it's the speed limit. You're not meant to be going over it ever, but obviously there has to be a little bit of tolerance in there, I'm fairly sure, for different speedometers and just going down hills and overtaking and all those kind of things. And so yeah, I don't know where you plucked 3 kilometers an hour from, or where you clocked 10% from. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be completely out of the question for you to receive a ticket or a fine or whatever you want to call it for just going 5Ks over the speed limit, but yeah, I don't know what the actual limit is
when you're here in Australia, because they're gonna get you.
Oh yeah.
Right, this is one of my favorite, and that is, don't say shrimp on the bobby.
Oh,
so for some reason in America, we think all Australians say like, shrimp on the bobby, mate. Like, no, they don't say that here. First of all, they wouldn't even call it, if they were having shrimp on the barbie, they would not even call it shrimp.
Look at that. Okay, so he has, if you want to impress an Aussie, say snag on the barbie. It means sausage, and that's what they actually cook on barbies. I mean, yes, we also cook steaks and we also cook a different range of things, but shrimp, well, that doesn't exist firstly, but then I don't know many people that would actually do barbecued prawns. And I mean, especially not on a grill like that. I mean, maybe some people might do it on a hot plate and just if it's been marinated in something, but no, never on a grill like that where you might be doing sausages. But generally I feel as though no barbecues in Australia even look like that.
They call it prawn here. Here in Australia, the only thing that they call shrimp is like the tiniest little type of shrimp, like the little tiny ones, those are shrimp. Everything else is a prawn. Where in America, pretty much everything, all the different types are shrimp, but like the big one, that one is a prawn.
Which is just so strange to me. Like, why did our different countries just choose to go, no, this one is a prawn, no, this one is a shrimp, no, this one, and then did it go, okay, so the big ones are prawns, but then here the little ones are shrimp? But I don't even know. It just doesn't make sense. And I'd love to know what kind of, is it British, is it American, just why and how did it change?
And for all, because I've looked this up, and this is the truth of what the difference is between the two. So a prawn and a shrimp are 2 separate animals that are very similar, and there's like multiple versions, like species of each animal. Both a shrimp and a prawn have 10 legs. They look similar. However, on 2 pairs of legs, so on 4 legs, a shrimp has pinchers, and a prawn has pinchers on 3 pairs of legs, so like 6 legs.
Whoa, shrimp, prawn. Shrimp have claws on 2 of their 5 pairs of legs. Prawn have claws on 3 of their 5 pairs of legs. That's really weird of a sentence to read 3, like it's not even. What the hell? I mean, I guess it makes sense, and you can definitely see the difference there, because even though there definitely are different types of prawns, you can get really the main one that you're going to be seeing on barbecues, just kind of raw or whatever it may be, is going to be virtually identical to the one on the right. That is just a classic prawn, and so yeah, I mean, that is actually quite knowledgeable of him. I guess he actually just searched it up, but either way, it's good to know.
Prawn also have branching gills, while shrimp have plate-like
What is
gills.
going on
Doesn't matter
here?
that much. They pretty much taste the same, but figured I'd explain it to, I don't know, in this feud and controversy between America and Australia. But anyway, long story short, if you come here, don't say shrimp on the bobby, mate, because they don't say that here. My third don't is, don't call a wallaby a kangaroo, or don't mistake the two. Educate yourself a little bit before coming here. This is a kangaroo, this is a wallaby.
I mean, I can certainly understand how people would be making that, and really I actually think that a lot of people think that a baby kangaroo is called a wallaby, and so yeah, I can definitely understand why people would be going, no, isn't that just both a kangaroo, because the kangaroo is so famous, and wallaby, I guess, is a word that you might hear, but it isn't the same kind of just generic phrase that everyone would be using.
They aren't the same animal, even though they do look similar. Like, I can see you can get confused. But yeah, don't see a wallaby and be like, oh,
kangaroos,
look, it's a kangaroo.
I was about to say.
It's a wallaby, different animals, like just Just figure that one out. My next
Wallabies can be actually, I mean, if you take it back, where is it? Wallabies, you know, I think you can kind of get the scale difference. Kangaroos can be massive. You would have seen the big guys on the internet that just are ripped, you know, pecs and arms and all those kind of things, and they're just kangaroos. Whereas if I saw a wallaby that was looking like a kangaroo in terms of just how kind of solid they are, I would honestly want to get that thing tested for steroid abuse, because there is just no way that that wallaby could ever just get as chunky as a kangaroo. You know, like you have big reds and all these things, where really, it's just not a comparison there if they were actually in a fight or anything like that.
My next don't go to Sydney or Melbourne and say you've seen all of Australia. Australia is such a huge country. There's so many different climates and I don't know,
so
places
true.
to go here. I mean, there's the Outback, there's Tasmania. Like, there's more than just beaches here, is what I'm trying to say. Speaking of beaches, that brings me to my fifth don't, and that is...
Oh, okay, well, that was very quick, but no, definitely don't say. I mean, obviously, you can certainly visit Sydney and Melbourne and be like, okay, at least I got to see the more famous tourist attractions. I mean, obviously, that doesn't include the Great Barrier Reef, and it doesn't include Uluru, which are in different states completely, but yeah, we certainly have just a few more states on offer besides, or I guess even just cities on offer besides Sydney and Melbourne. I mean, unless you're into mining, Perth might not be your thing, and unless you're into some worldwide stuff, I don't really know if South Australia is going to be the thing, but yeah, I've never been to Tasmania, but I've heard it's just beautiful. It can be a little bit colder, and so yeah, every little state has its own thing, because exactly like he said, there is no way that you can visit one or two, even three of just major cities and see an entire country. It's like, no one goes to California or New York and goes, yeah, I've seen all of America, that's it. You know, you just got the Big Apple and the beaches of California and nothing else really. And really, come on, I feel as though we can all be honest that this entire thing applies worldwide. You know, you can't just go to a country, pick any country in the world and say, oh, well, I can then just go to one city and go, oh, I've seen it all, you know, I don't need to go anywhere else. I've seen the entire country, everything it has to offer. Nah, it doesn't exist like that. You're missing the entire point of traveling.
Speaking of beaches, that brings me to my fifth don't, and that is, don't expect to be able to swim at all the beaches here. There are tons of beautiful, nice surfing beaches here, but there are tons of beaches that you can't swim in. Like, for example, the entire Great Ocean Road, like, most of it, like, unless you're in, like, Apollo Bay, like, most of them are, like, big old, like, cliffs, and you can't swim there. If you're in the Northern Territory, like, there are crocodiles, and you can't swim in most of the beaches in the Northern Territory. The coast might just be rocky in that part of Australia. Like, there's, tons of different climates. I mean, it's a huge place with a lot of coastline, so don't think you can swim at all the beaches. Not taking anything away from the beaches. There are some amazing beaches here. Enjoy them. But yeah, just don't think you can swim like everywhere here in Australia.
That's a great point. I mean, I can certainly understand people just have this idyllic thing where you just go, oh, anywhere I go, I can swim. And I mean, I guess technically you could swim in those places, but I think he's more so saying that you shouldn't, or it's not recommended that you swim in those places. I mean, unless you're really good friends with crocodiles or box jellyfish or just any of those kind of things. But other than that, I feel as though you might be walking away, or I guess maybe even in some cases not walking away too well from some of those situations. And yeah, I mean, like you said, some are just completely inaccessible. You know, you can't even get down to them. And also, just to add on to what he was talking about broadly, I feel as though people shouldn't assume that the surf is going to be the same everywhere in the country, let alone just worldwide. Like, let's just say you can surf in Portugal, wherever it may be, it doesn't matter. It does not exactly mean that the surf is going to be the same. Let's say you're used to quite forgiving surf without riptides or anything like that, then you're certainly going to be caught off guard, because Australia can just be full of them. And so just definitely make sure that you stay between flags when they are there, and if you're not a very competent swimmer, then just definitely go between there, and otherwise don't really swim out just generally, because there are just so many reasons that people can get themselves into some pretty serious trouble pretty darn quickly. Like, I can only imagine that some people go, I can swim, yeah, it's all good, but they've swum in a pool, and swimming in the sea, and especially the Australian Sea, or just kind of very coastal, or just ocean, Pacific Ocean, just currents and things like that, it can be a very different experience compared to just swimming in a pool or anything like that. And so I guess just make sure you know what you're doing, and make sure you kind of know what you're getting yourself into before you just go out and just swim to New Zealand or anything like that.
And when you're at the beach, do not forget to put on sunscreen. The sun is super intense here. You burn so quickly here in Australia.
I'm fairly sure from the last video that we watched, he was just complete lobster. And so yeah, actually just take his previous video that we watched as just a perfect example of what can happen if you just don't take care of your skin or just generally protect it. Because yeah, I mean, yeah, as a sunburn, you're like, ow, it might hurt, but skin cancer is like the leading killer in Australia. And so I think that's for a reason.
They're over Antarctica, but it also does stretch over a good portion of Australia, especially like Melbourne, like the southern part of it. And even then in the rest of Australia, the UV is like 7% stronger than it is in most of the world. I burn way quicker here in Australia. I've talked about it in other videos, but the sun does have like a little bit of sting to it here. It's just, I don't know, it's not the same sun that you're used to in America. Put on sunscreen, like, yeah, it's a must. Sunscreen's a must here.
That's really interesting, because I can't exactly say that when I've traveled overseas I go, the sun is actually different. I mean, because often you're dealing with humidity changes and all these different things, but it's always interesting to me when people say it's actually different, you know, it stings compared to just kind of being, just radiating in the sun. But like, people go to Greece and come back with this, I don't know if you can call it beautiful, but like a really chocolate tan, because of course to be able to get that tan they have to do some damage. And so you just ask them like, man, how many times, you're only gone to for 2 weeks, just how many times did you get burned? And they go, I didn't really get burnt at all, you know, I just tanned up, the sun was fine. But if you did that in Australia, nah, you're going to be burned every single day.
My sixth don't be scared of the animals here. So many Americans think of Australia as like the place where you're gonna die if you come here because of all their poisonous snakes, spiders, this, that, the other. Like, no, it's okay. The most deadly animals here in Australia are like mostly like farm animals, like horses, cows, like other mammals, like
horses, cows, animal transport. What do you mean by animal transport? Camels? What does that include? Mammals, hornets, wow, wasps. What is this percentage death in Australia by animals? I can only imagine or maybe that's actually numbers. I mean, actually, it is quite clearly not a percentage considering we've got 77 and then 60, but no, look at all these things. Yeah, the fact that cows and horses are number one, I feel as though you can certainly just rest easy that a crocodile isn't going to come and munch your leg off or anything like that.
Those kill way more people than any like snakes, spiders, or like marine life, sharks, all that stuff. I think Americans like forget that we also have like mountain lions, bears, wolves, like crocodiles, like our own poisonous snakes and spiders. Most Americans aren't scared of those, so I don't know why they come to Australia and get like all scared about the animals here. Like, yes, the animals here are like more poisonous and deadly than like
that's what one thing that we've got.
No, you're not gonna see them, like they're rare.
Really, that is absolutely the main thing that we just hold over every single other country. It's just the fact that everything is so poisonous and maybe aggressive if you want to call it that. But really, exactly as he said, I feel as though America definitely just has big animals. You know, you have bears and lions and tigers, oh my, whatever it may be. I mean, obviously not tigers, but whatever it may be. They might not be on the whole just as poisonous as some of Australians think, but I feel as though a bear charging at you or just anywhere in your vicinity, it is a pretty scary thing to be dealing with as well.
Don't be scared of the animals.
Yeah, my exactly like you just said.
Don't get offended easily if you're going to come here to Australia. Australians like to be a little bit raunchy, you know, a lot of them cuss,
really?
They're going to say the C word. You can't get all offended every time you hear it. It's just part of their culture. Like, it's not even really a bad word here. And yeah, I don't know. They like to poke fun. They like to banter. Like, if you come here, I'm not saying like all Australians are going to pick on you if you come here, but if you are hanging out with Australians, don't get easily offended by like a stupid joke that they say or do. Like, it's just part of the culture.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've talked about it before in terms of I can understand how people will be caught off guard by it, but you definitely just have to not take everyone around you and definitely yourself not too seriously, and you know, just generally kind of just make sure you go with the flow. If anyone or just no one around you seems to get offended, it probably just isn't offensive, because like I said, it is actually just more likely to be a crude or a rude joke than anything actually just trying to be insulting to anyone.
Words to use, you probably don't want to use the word root when you're here. Don't say like, oh yeah, I'm rooting for that team. It's a word that they use a little bit differently than we use it in America.
Just
root here means like to like to have sex.
Wow, I didn't even realize that he was going to be talking about.
Root. Like if you're trying to have sex, like, I'm trying to root. Like it's a really like
it definitely has a different connotation here.
The opposite of etiquette. It's the opposite of etiquette way to say like have sex. Like I don't know. It's pretty commonly used here. Root was one of the many Australian slang words that I didn't know when coming here. But
I mean, I guess maybe I'm just completely desensitized to it, or maybe I just completely tune it out because of that fact. But I feel as though it's not a super commonly used word. I mean, maybe like I just said, I just don't even know how much it is really used. And I guess there would definitely be some pockets of the country that would use it more, but I just don't know how commonly used it is. But yes, there is definitely a different connotation, or really just a different meaning entirely. But at the same time, kind of connecting to the last one that we had here, I feel as though it could also just be used in kind of a crude or a rude way, but not actually kind of a, I don't know what to call it, but yeah, either way, it's not actually meant to be kind of like exactly what it is kind of descriptive as, more so just as I guess a crude description of an intention or something like that, if that even makes sense. But yes, I guess some people would be like, okay, you root for this team, but it would only be used in that context, otherwise it's going to be what they said.
Don't be confused about the Aussie slang when you
don't
get
be
here.
Confused.
I think Australia, without a doubt, has
confused?
More slang than any other country. Yes. Like, there's so much slang here, and you really got to get used to it, because there are some, like, words that they just use in everyday conversation that you won't know when you come here. I actually made a video about 100 Aussie words and phrases that you should learn before coming here, so if you want to see that, check it out.
Oh,
it's really helpful.
That's
After watching that video, you'll definitely be able to get by here in Australia.
Absolutely. That is definitely going to be the end of the video. But no, I can absolutely back that entire thing. You know, don't be intimidated, don't be afraid, don't be whatever you want to call it. Just kind of interpret it however you want to. Maybe ask a lot of questions if you need to, like, hey, actually, what does that mean? People go, come on, you should know, and then they'll actually just tell you if you're going to push them a little bit. Because let's be honest, I feel as though every country in the entire world, if they have their own kind of little thing, they just go either want to keep it or just make sure that everyone knows it. And you know, maybe sometimes it might be a little bit more inclusive, and some people might want to keep it to themselves or whatever it may be. But overall, I definitely do feel as though people might take the mickey out of you a little bit, but then they'll just definitely tell you and make it the entire thing inclusive. But honestly, other than that, I feel as though he covered a whole bundle of things, you know, from shrimps and actually kind of giving us some more general knowledge to know, and you know, plenty of things that you go, I guess that is definitely a thing that people should be knowing before they come here, or just generally in general. He always does a nice job of consolidating all these random little things that most people, I feel as though, or most Australians would never even think twice about, and just puts them into one video where you go, I guess it really is a big thing for foreigners or just tourists in general. And so yeah, make sure to check out the original video in the description. But anyway, in saying that, I reckon I'm going to call it there. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to do with the YouTube algorithmic things down below. Other than that, if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, then make sure to check out some of the other ones we've done with Tristan and a whole bundle of people. Or hey, maybe you even just want to consider subscribing so that you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.